Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Lights Come Around. For this episode, we're going to find out who is eager to return back to the MCU. We're going to be diving into Sony's state of play, and we're going to be looking into the latest episode of The Last of Us. What little mistake did we see on screen, and how emotionally driven this episode is. So before we get into all to that, let's get started.
Welcome to the Lights, Camera, Rant Podcast. Your source for the latest on movies, TV shows, and video games. Get ready for ranting, raving, and reviewing. Here is your host, Lee.
Hi, everyone, and what a week it has been with everything that's gone on with, as I said, Last of Us, Mandalorian, State of Play, and a person who's eager to come back to the MCU. So as always, we are streaming live on both Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube all at the same time. We do this every Sunday, and the episode drops every Tuesday. And I have to say, yes, Mark, don't worry. It is about time. And Mark, you, from Mark My Words, you are actually our very first piece of news that we are going to be talking about. Because this lovely man, my running mate on Mark My Words, in the past week, he's just launched a new set of merch. New shirts, different designs. So definitely go check that out. The man is absolutely growing, but new shirts look fantastic, and it can look fantastic. And I honestly picked them up. He's made sure the fact that there is no markup on, no pun intended, there's no markup on his merch right now. He's having a sale, so please go check him out. He's doing fantastic, especially if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan. Jump right onto it. So let's get into the news from this past week. So straight off the bat, now there was a lot of gaming news this week, but I have to point this out because this was really weird, and I can't believe that this is actually a game. I can't believe this is actually a game. Now, State of Play did go on. State of Play did come out with a whole bunch of games, but this is completely separate. So in a world where in gaming you can be anything, absolutely anything that you like, there is currently a game that is coming that you can be Jesus. Yes, you can be Jesus Christ. It's called I Am Jesus, and they just showed some more footage. They are releasing it this year, 2023. And it's a first-person game, and you can be the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And you can go walk on water, you can make food, you can turn water into wine, whatever you like, you can do it as Jesus back in the olden days. And the game is currently on Steam, and it's called I Am Jesus. This is not a game I thought I'd ever want to pick up. But, here we are, as we always like to be. But you be Jesus. But definitely go check that out. Moving on. Moving on, fans. So for anyone who does remember this movie, it's called I Am Legend. It came out for about 10 years ago, give or take, with Will Smith. And they have finally announced that they are moving forward with a sequel with both Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan. So at the end of I Am Legend, there was actually two endings. There's one where he died and there's one where he lived. So they're going to go based on the one where obviously he lived. And it will be taking place about 10 years later in this game. In this movie. So this movie is very much, for anyone who hasn't seen it, probably a little bit akin to The Last of Us, as diseased, wipeout, the city's overgrown with, obviously with grass, city jungle, it's all changed, and he's basically sort of like the last man standing, which is why it's called I Am Legend. So it would be a perfect time for this movie to come out with both, The Walking Dead done, The Last of Us skyrocketing to the very top. So for anyone who is a fan, strap yourselves in. It's coming very soon. Speaking on to superhero news. So apparently for Spider-Man, Kevin Feige has announced that Spider-Man 4, as I mentioned last week, Spider-Man 4's script is pretty much complete. It's almost ready to go. So that will be happening for him, but also what we did kind of, I'd say, predicted, but Tom Holland's Spider-Man will be taking a leading role in Avengers 5 Kang Dynasty. Now, this movie, I did make a reel this past week, realizing that I can't believe how far away this movie is. It feels, after seeing Kang just recently with Ant-Man Quantumania, I thought it was a little bit closer, but no, it's actually still 2 years away until we get this movie. And another thing is, I really can't wait. I was listening to the Avengers theme and I was listening to Portals, and I thought to myself, I can't wait. Even doesn't matter if it's obviously it's going to be a completely different team, but seeing the team again and hearing that theme in the theater, that's going to be fantastic. And I can't wait for that. Especially, I do hope that when we does get closer to Avengers Kang Dynasty, that IMAX will do a back-to-back sitting with both Infinity War and Endgame. That would be brilliant, especially hearing, as I said, Portals, the Avengers theme, all on the big screen. But yes, Spider-Man will be taking a leading role in that movie as well. Now, keep in mind, I do know a lot of people might be a little bit nervous after Ant-Man, but keep this in mind, the similar writing team that's working on Ant-Man Quantumania is working on Avengers Kang Dynasty. Now, obviously, spoilers for anyone who's seen the end of the post-credit scene for Ant-Man Quantumania will know that there is quite a dynasty ahead of us. Marvel just released, just recently, a behind-the-scenes look of Jonathan Majors looking like Lizard Kang, which we did see in the photos. We did see that as well, but there's going to be a lot of Kangs on the horizon, and Jonathan Majors says that we will see him very soon, and I assume that will be for Loki Season 2, which does not have a release date, but it appears it could be around about May-ish. It will be coming out. It'll be either that or it'll be Secret Wars. There's no definitive time for either. However, we are meant to be getting new trailers for both, though, so that will be fantastic. Now, jumping over to DC news. Now, this I couldn't believe. So, Zachary Levi, who plays Shazam in the movie, said that apparently he is the DC's version of Deadpool. As soon as I read that comment, I thought, what a load of shit. I'm like, you have nothing in common. Shazam has nothing in common with Deadpool at all. And you're not even close in that level to that being in the DC universe. And look, hey, if he wants to do that, that's fine. However, apparently is that Shazam 2 is tracking that it will be the lowest box office opening weekend for a DC film just after Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. And then you've got all the movie. That's how it's tracking. And Helen, I can't remember her name, but she's playing one of the villains in the movie. Just recently in an interview did say that she asked about the plot. I had no idea. Like, the plot's too confusing. She couldn't explain it. I was like, ooh, that's a bit rough. If you can't tell what the plot is going into this movie. So, ouch. But look, let's be honest, guys. We kind of knew that Shazam 2 was not going to track very high. I can honestly say I've seen both trailers for the movie, and each time I feel they've shown too much. 2, I feel like I can see the entire plot. And 3, I'm just not excited. Like, I think it's because of the fact that we know that DCU is getting completely rewritten and rebooted after Flash. I'm like, cool. And not to mention, We know Black Adam isn't, The Rock isn't returning. So we aren't going to get Shazam versus Black Adam. So that's not happening either. So the excitement for this movie is really, really dive down. But I will still go see it. Me and the boys will still go see the movie. I will still review it. However, I really don't know how the Shazam's going to do very well. But don't forget, James Gunn has said everyone who's currently in the DC at the moment has an open invite to return to come back. So the option is there. So we still might see Zachary playing the titular character, but maybe in a different form. Moving on, for any Hellboy fans, Hellboy is getting a third live-action reboot. And before you ask, no, Ron Perlman has not been spoken to. There's no mention of him coming back. This is just an announcement that Hellboy is getting another live-action reboot. And it's sad because I just wish they just went with Hellboy 3. I just wish they got that off the ground and finished the trilogy altogether, because the Hellboy reboot that happened a couple of years ago, that bombed terribly. So it'll be interesting to know what kind of direction they were going in for this new Hellboy movie, which could be in conjunction with the upcoming Hellboy game that is coming out soon. I do believe later in 2023, there is a new Hellboy game. So it'll be interesting if what the elements they will take, because the first two Hellboy movies are fantastic, especially the Golden Army. The aesthetics were all fantastic. And it just sucks they didn't get to finish the trilogy. So that's a little bit harsh. But Hellboy fans, don't worry, there is another one on the way. But moving on. So Mandalorian, which is going to be premiering March the 1st on Disney Plus. Season 3 is coming. I can't wait to start reviewing that weekly. Jon Favreau has confirmed that the script for season 4 is complete. It is ready to go. It is all done to go into pre-production. However, the most interesting thing that Jon Favreau did say about Mandalorian is that he has not written the ending yet. So Mandalorian, let's draw back. Let's come back a bit. So The Mandalorian was the first live-action Disney Plus TV show, and it wasn't a show that a lot of fans did ask for. People were like, "Oh, why isn't this Boba Fett? Where's the Obi-Wan? Where's this? Where's that?" But we got this bounty hunter, and from that show has come blown up. Baby Grogu, Baby Yoda, the Luke Skywalker, it completely blew up. It has done extremely well. The director's team behind the show did a fantastic job. And it's continued on. The Book of Boba Fett, the Ahsoka TV show, the Obi-Wan TV show. It has shown that they can expand the Star Wars lore even further in this form of television. However, because it's blown up so much, which makes me wonder if Jon Favreau is taking his time, or with the ending, or even better, we're still getting more seasons. So season 3 has not been announced. It's going to be the last one. Season 4, there is obviously, then we know that's in the works. It's ready to go. But it doesn't look like Disney Plus will. Disney would be silly to call quits on The Mandalorian, because it's done so well, and I can't wait for the new season. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic, and I'm just even for the trailer. But definitely let me know in the comments what are you most excited to see in season 3 or seasons 4 of The Mandalorian, or again, how many seasons of The Mandalorian do you think there should be? Or do you think they should wrap it up on season 4 and let us know what you think? But Mandalorian fans, you are in for a treat. For Sony Marvel fans, Venom 3 is currently in pre-production. Tom Hardy confirmed in a recent interview that is moving forward. Not too sure what direction or the plot that will go into. There's so many different rumors whether or not apparently Andrew Garfield's going to be returning. He will be the Spider-Man in the universe. There's no mention of Morbius 2 with Michael Keaton and Jared Leto. There's no mention of that. So, yeah, I don't know how this is going to all work or where, because remember, Venom is no longer in the MCU universe. He got chucked back into his own universe now. So he's back into the Sonyverse, which that's really sad. I'd hate to be in the Sonyverse as well. Yeah. But yes, for any fans, it is also happening. And for anyone musical fans, keep an eye on. For anyone, Rogers, the musical that we saw in the beginning of Hawkeye, that is getting turned into a real show that will be at Disney California. This summer, you will be actually able to go see Rogers the musical. You know, I could do this all day. Oh my God, shoot me. That was terrible. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But yes, Rogers the musical is happening. That is coming for anyone who's in America, California, Disneyland. You'll see it very, very soon. Now, also going into gaming news, which is very interesting. Microsoft have signed a brand new deal with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo games or Nintendo consoles. So you'll be able to play Call of Duty on the Switch. So obviously, currently right now in the Switch form, you can only play Call of Duty on the Steam Deck, which I did have someone ask me the other day, "Is like, are you going to buy the Steam Deck?" I'm like, I was very going to, but I think I'll wait till Christmas when it's a little bit cheaper, because it's like to get the actual decent one. It's basically a Switch that's juiced up to the max, portable PC. That's coming out later, so that you can play Call of Duty on the go. But it'll be very interesting to see what will come from this deal between Microsoft and Nintendo with Call of Duty. Because obviously the Switch is powerful. You know, obviously we've seen with Zelda and Link how big that game is, and obviously Skyrim. But it'll be interesting to see how Call of Duty will favor on the Switch. Or is Nintendo going to announce a Switch 2, or what's going to be? Because they're going to have to make, at this rate, they're going to have to bring out Switch something new, because Switch feels like it's been around for a while now. I have to be like 9 years or something now with the Switch, or something like that. Well, anyway, yes. So Call of Duty fans, you will be able to play on the Switch if you don't want to fork out the immense money for Steam Deck. So don't you worry on that aspect, because that is coming soon. So that is the biggest news that's happened the past week. And now let's get on to one of the most interesting things that we did get was State of Play. So Sony dropped the State of Play, which showcases new footage of new upcoming games and announcing new games. Now, one of the biggest games of this year that got delayed that I'm most excited for, they showcased the most, which is the biggest talking point of State of Play. But there's actually a very interesting one, which I'll tell you in a second. Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. I cannot wait for this game. This game got delayed over a year, similar like what happened to Red Dead Redemption. So this game, Suicide Squad Kills, this is coming out on May 26th. So currently right now, for any big major titles, you will have Star Wars Fallen Fallen Jedi, and then straight after this we have got Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. So the most interesting thing about this game that we got from the showcase is a brand new gameplay trailer. Looks fantastic. Great team environment. Everyone's got kind of unique abilities. You will always work in a team of 4, and your friends can come in and play. So if it can be 2 of you, 3 of you, 4 of you, you can all jump in and play. And if you're just a single player person like myself, don't worry, there'll be all bots, and you can jump between the two The gameplay trailer looks fantastic. Now, this is set 5 years after Arkham Knight. So this Suicide Squad game is from Rocksteady, and it's set in the Arkham verse. Now, the interesting thing about that is, which we all know, is Batman. We don't know how Batman is back. We assumed he died, or another thing is that maybe he didn't die. Oh, well, we know he hasn't fully died because he's in the game, but right at the end of Arkham Knight, if you complete the Night Protocol, is that there is a little cutscene of like a fear bat right at the end of the game to fear people. Because, people were saying that Batman is dead, is assumed, his identity is revealed, and everything. So it makes you wonder is like whether or not, how those events will affect into this. And don't forget, this game will be the very last time that the legendary Kevin Conroy will be voicing the titular character of Batman, because he died last year. R.I.P. He did a fantastic legacy of playing Batman the character, and this is his last time playing it. So that would be very hard, because the hard part is that it's his last time, and you have to fight him. So as we all know, Brainiac has invaded Metropolis. So Metropolis, the city of tomorrow, is the setting in this. You will not be going to Gotham, and you find out the fact that, which we already knew, multiple different characters are infected by Brainiac. Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, Batman. However, Wonder Woman isn't, which was interesting, which we did get a really cool scene where Flash is like, to beat us, you're going to have to kill us. And like, oh, shit. So that's fantastic. This little bit might annoy a lot of people. When I saw this go announced, I was a little bit taken back by it as well. I was like, oh, I don't know how it's going to favor, but at the same time, how is this going to react? So essentially, for this game, you have to be on, even if you're a single player, you have to be online the entire time. You have to be connected to the internet. Now, as we've done in the past, this is sometimes not going down very well. If anyone remembers, was it Xbox Connect? Yeah, Xbox Connect. When the Xbox was first Connect and Xbox, I think it was One at the very start, you had to be online the entire time. And that was the console. Massive backlash, which they eventually changed. But this game, now, I know in this day and age, yes, it's 2023. You can get internet anywhere. You can go into the city and not even be in a shop, and there's local Wi-Fi that you can pick up on. But still, not everyone has fantastic internet. Not everyone's always connected. But yeah, with Suicide Squad, you have to get to online the entire time with the internet. So not sure how that's going to favor or how it's going to work. But for me, obviously, I'm going to be online. I can't wait for this game. I'm so stoked for this game, and I'm just ready to jump back into this game. Like just towards probably mid last year, I went back and I completed the Arkham trilogy again, and it was fantastic, especially Arkham Knight. I remember thinking to myself just how awesome this game was, and just everything that was coming was just fantastic. Story, beautiful. But yes, so that was one of the biggest talking about. Now, another thing that was very big, that I was mentioned earlier, is the fact that PlayStation's gone full depth into PlayStation VR 2. They have announced that 5 new games are coming to PlayStation VR this year. They're money straight into this, to the point where you've got Foglands. Foglands, yes, Foglands. I was going to say Floglands, but anyway, it doesn't matter. This game will be in VR. This is a bit of a horror game. This is one of the highlights that did get announced. Looks a little bit creepy, but full VR headset. And another game that got announced, it's already out now, but it will be entering the VR world, is Green Hell, which is a little bit of a survivor game, which looks kind of cool. Again, VR. So I would love to know. Let me know in the comments, or let me know on whatever you Twitter, anything. What is your thoughts on VR? Do you think it's still a fad, or it's something that's time to really dive in? That's the $1 million question, because we know we've had these little tools. Nintendo had the gloves, and then we have the iToy. Then Xbox had Kinect, and we had the VR. So I got the first VR, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Playing games like Rick and Morty was fantastic. There was a Groundhog Day game that was cool. There was an underwater game that I got was fantastic. And one that I always sticks in my mind is that there was a game called Everest. And you and another person, and you climbed Mount Everest in VR. And it was fantastic because you turn around, you could look down, you could look up, you had to cross ravines, and then when you got to the very top, you could do a full 360 view all around. And it was just awesome to look at. However, I haven't bought another VR game since then, especially now with the launch with VR2 makes me want to dive back into this. But those are only 2 games. There's still a couple other games. Definitely, there's a futuristic game called Humanized or Human. That one's also coming out in VR. So Sony is pouring a lot of money into this. So VR, jump on the bandwagon, because Sony is investing, and so should you. Another good highlight we did get was Street Fighter 6. We got a new gameplay trailer for that. We got a few new characters on the horizon. So Street Fighter 6 is coming in June this year. Another game was obviously the Resident Evil 4 remake that a lot of people are excited for. Now we got another trailer for that game. That is also going to have in there a additional mercenary mode, which is from a previous game. That looks fantastic. So that Resident Evil 4, that's coming on the 24th of March as well. March is looking pretty stacked. March and April, it's pretty stacked with everything coming in. So that's also on the horizon. And another one is another big highlight. Now, we did get a few indie games, which I will highlight on Instagram and shine a spotlight on them as well. So definitely give us a follow, because it doesn't matter how small or how big the game is. The fact that someone's put it down to paper and the whole team is creating it, we should give them the time and highlight their game, which you might have noticed on my Instagram. We've had a few gaming titles that you might have not known of. It's good to shine a light, because they're putting so much time and love into it, and it's going to take longer to make because they haven't got the big backing. But when the game comes out, it's usually fantastic. There's one called Dredge that looks fantastic. I was watching the trailer. I was like, this is a little bit different, but sold. Take my money. For anyone who is a Destiny 2 fan, so Destiny 2 is coming out with a brand new expansion pack called Lightfall that drops Feb 28th. Now it looks it looks fantastic. It looks a little bit different. At the same time, this trailer made it look smick. I cannot wait to see this fully launched. Destiny 2 is gone for beat on this. It's interesting the fact that we got a trailer so late before its launch, but hey, let me know what you guys think. Are you excited for Destiny 2, or do you think Destiny 2 has already come a bit old, or are you moving on to something else? But let me always let me know in the comments. But yeah, those are probably the biggest announcements from Sony's State of Play. I love it when these come out, because it's just, you see different aspects and new announcements you had no idea for coming out, which is fantastic. And Suicide Squad game, I know this bit of it. It was almost a title that when I saw it got delayed, which a lot of games are happening right now is that because there were so many delays because of COVID and everything, it's almost a hype killer. Like, for example, Judas. Judas is a brand new game that's coming out. It's from the makers of BioShock. Now, the footage, it all looks great. It's on Steam. However, we got announced last week that it's like coming until 2025. Like, obviously, the hype will build up for it more, but it's like, oh, yay! I'm gonna forget about it because it's taking so long for it to come out, which is a little bit hard with all these titles. If they don't come out at a particular time, like shit, I'm gonna wait 2 years. But speaking of BioShock, I don't know if for anyone who's obviously playing Atomic Heart, that has done fantastic. Atomic Heart's done really great. An 8 on IGN. Honestly, it's just BioShock in Russia. Apparently, Ukraine has asked for the game to be banned because of the storyline and everything. But it's not that bad, honestly. It's too late now. The game's out. It's on every platform, and it's doing extremely well. So, as I always mention, for any BioShock fans who are feeling like they need some love, need some TLC, definitely jump onto Atomic Heart. And in the meantime, play that until Judas comes out, which will be again from the creators of BioShock. But yeah, for anyone who's playing Atomic Heart, please let me know. I might be picking up later, but at this stage, I'm still going through Hogwarts Legacy because that is a massive, massive game, and I keep getting sidetracked going on side quests. But don't you worry, I will still bring out a review for it. And as I mentioned last week, Hogwarts Legacy will be our next review, and then we'll be moving on to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Jedi. That will also be doing a review, and then Suicide Squad moving on after that. All right, so let's move on to the latest episode of The Last of Us. So, guys, girls, anything else in between? What do we like? We're up to episode 6 of The Last of Us. How is that just gone like that? Honestly, it feels like only yesterday The Last of Us began and we're all hyped. What I can't believe is that Pedro Pascal is already doing his rounds for The Mandalorian. So, Last of Us is going to be 9 episodes. So we're still at 3 weeks of The Last of Us. The Mandalorian starts this week. So the man is just everywhere. If you want a bit of Star Wars, you want a bit of horror, survival, you want space, he's got it all for you. So just recently, as I mentioned earlier, when Jon Favreau was talking in interviews about season 4, they were doing their rounds to hype up Mandalorian season 3. The promotional material's already begun. There is trailers, promos everywhere for this, and continuing that, which so many people are hyped for. The Last of Us is still banging on episode to episode. I don't think there's been an episode any lower than 7 for this that I've seen on ratings. It's all been beat for beat, and this episode was no different. So this episode picks up 3 months later after the events of episode 5, which were, that was a little bit gut-wrenching. As a person who hasn't played the game, did not see that coming. That was a bit, that was a bit in the chest to see. No pun intended for that. But episode 5 was a really big action set piece episode. This one, the download episode, this is a bit more emotional driven. So this one is episodes a bit slower, a little bit more in depth into heart. So what we see is that we return with Joel and Ellie looking for Joel's brother Tommy and the Fireflies. Now, one of the best things about this episode, which is called Kin, is the landscape. Is the beautiful landscape shots of this episode are beautiful. So the whole terrain is fantastic. It made me think of Andor in the sense then when they were tracking all in the mountains when they're about to do the heist, I found myself just going back and going, like looking away from the characters and going, wow, this is, I know you can go there, but it just makes me want to travel and makes me want to go to these places. Not in the Last of Us world. No. Star Wars, yes, I'd go, but not Last of Us. But seeing all these landscapes is just fantastic. So as we get to see Joel and Ellie are tracking over, trying to find Tommy, which as they get closer, thanks to some directions to some old couple, during this, we are seeing more of a closer bond between Ellie and Joel. That's growing. They're getting a little bit more close to each other. However, Joel's starting to have panic attacks, which they portray. Oh my god! Spoilers, left, right, and center. Which, as this episode comes out, you should have already watched this episode. So I have no regrets if you haven't seen it at all. But yeah, and we see that Joel is having panic attacks into this, and you just see the fact he's just, he's struggling a little bit with fear. So, and then we get a fantastic moment on why later in the episode is that, once upon a time he was a hard ass. They were killing people. They were doing what they thought was right. However, now, because of what happened 2 episodes ago, how Ellie killed that kid, he realized he's slowing down. He's getting older. It's a little bit harder for him, which he's struggling with. And that's why he's going to fear that he can't protect Ellie and he can't protect himself. And that's what makes it very hard. So as they're tracking over the land, they get stopped by a whole bunch of people on horses, which these dogs to smell out the infected. And they get taken to this town, this fantastic little town they've built, safety for everyone. It's very remote. I don't know for anyone who has played the game, there's a game called Surviving the Aftermath. It's made by the same people who made City Skylines, Surviving the Abyss, Surviving Mars. This entire thing is making me think of this game. It's a fantastic game, very similar. You're trying to survive the world after a major apocalypse, essentially. And how this town, when they talk about the power from the dam, how they do everything, just made me really think of this game. Which, very further back, I did do a review of it in an episode very, very at the start when it first came out. So definitely check that out. But yeah, so as we introduce the town, we see this whole town of people who are flourishing and living good lives in this well-structured area away from everything. Now, lucky enough for the dam, it's giving them all the power. They see that they've got animals, they can watch some movies, a little back, and they got a little bit pieces in there. And then we do finally get to see Tommy reunite with Joel, which is fantastic. It's a fantastic moment. But as the episode progresses, you see the fact that Joel's a little bit upset on why he's not been contacted him. Why did he go radio silence? What's been happening? You find out Tommy's going to be a father, and it just creates all this tension. And this tension also bleeds into Joel and Ellie, which they do have a fight. They both have a fight into each other, which then leads to Joel leaving Tommy and Ellie going on to find the Fireflies even further, because Tommy gives them a map on where they are too, which will take another week of travel. And then we do get to see that both Joel and Ellie, after they had a massive fight, they got even closer again. However, when they do make a little stop somewhere, trying to do the right thing, trying to find the Fireflies, Joel gets stabbed over, and then that's how the episode ends, with Ellie trying to help Joel, who's just been stabbed on some train tracks. So obviously we know that Joel's not going to die because they are confirmed season 2 is in the works, and because of the video game. So we know that's going to happen anyway. But this episode, like as I said, this episode was a lot more emotional driven. You can really feel the heart between all three of them, between Tommy and his new life, Joel struggling with his panic attacks, his old life, Ellie, who just wants, she makes a great speech saying, "Oh, everyone who I love, everyone who's cared for me has all left me or died. I was hoping you weren't either." And you're like, "Oh, that's a bit gut-wrenching." You're like, "Oh shit!" Like I feel that in the heart. But this is what I mean. This episode still kept it going. It's still doing fantastic. Strength on both the CGI, the storytelling is all smack bang on. It's fantastic. And I can't wait to see what the next few episodes are going to bring. So obviously, the next few weeks, we will be covering both Mandalorian and The Last of Us all the way up until the end. However, I'm not going to lie. I am, as much as I am enjoying The Last of Us, I am super stoked for The Mandalorian to get back dive into that world. But don't you worry, I will make sure I will still review both for you. And over the next few weeks, we do have some upcoming guests, which please definitely go check out at both our Facebook events and YouTube live schedule to see everyone who's going to be popping up in the future and everyone who's going to be joining us on new episodes. Which this next week, I do have a very special episode that's coming that I can't wait to announce. So please definitely tune in that. And guys, that was episode 6 of The Last of Us. So tell me, what do you think? Are you enjoying it? Or are you done with it? Or are you going to move on to another show now? Because not going to March as well. We've got Ted Lasso season 3. I can't wait for that. Ted Lasso season 3 is all around the corner. See, everything's coming back now. Everything's really ramping up right now. So for everyone, please tune in. We're going to be covering all of this, and we're going to make sure we bring you the latest in news, movies, TV shows, and video games. And copyright goes right on to that. But yeah, guys, definitely let me know what you think of The Last of Us. What game are you most excited from State of Play? And are you excited for Venom 3? Are you excited for Mandalorian Season 4? Are you excited to see Spider-Man take a lead role? And for anyone who's not also excited, I forgot to mention earlier, Elizabeth Olsen, she is so stoked and wants to come back to the MCU as soon as possible. She is ready to come back, and she said rest of the interviews that she's ready to go straight away. So we can't wait to see Scarlet Witch back. But guys, let me know. It's been a fantastic time. And as always, until next time, happy ranting.
Thanks for listening to Lights, Camera, Rant. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a rating and review, and be sure to tell your friends. Until next time, happy ranting.